पेवस्त हुआ सीने में इस तरह से निज़ाम खिंच आया कलेजा और खून में तड़पने लगा हम शब-ए पैगंबर फरियाद है बाबा फरियाद है बाबा इस गाम से पता जाता है सीने में कलेजा मैं रह गई तन्हा शबीर सा लाऊंगी कहाँ सीने निरादर फरियाद है बाबा फरियाद है बाबा बाबा मुझे अब कोई ना पहचान सकेगा ये हाल है मेरा कुछ इतने सितमदार है तकदीरन मुझ पर फरियाद है बाबा फरियाद है बाबा लेकर मैं अलमदार के दो दस्त पुरीदार और खून भरा कुर्ता आऊंगी ये कहती हुई बासर महशर फरियाद है बाबा फरियाद है बाबा ज़ैनब ये पुकार भी करती है खुले सर फरियाद है बाबा फरियाद है बाबा बेपर्दा गिराए गए हो दाद पैगंबर फरियाद है बाबा फरियाद है बाबा
मोहम्मद नवारे मोहम्मद
हुसैन गरीब गरीब हुसैन हुसैन शहीद शहीद हुसैन हुसैन गरीब गरीब हुसैन हुसैन शहीद शहीद हुसैन दुआई दुआई खुदा दुआई ये दश्त में बला में है कैसी तबाही बहाया है किसने ये खूने मोहम्मद क़यामत ये दाई है किसने लाई जवानों बुजुर्गों को मारा गया है शहीदों में शामिल है नन्हा सिपाही हुसैन गरीब गरीब हुसैन हुसैन शहीद शहीद हुसैन किया जश्न बरपा यूं अहले हवस ने शहीदों के लाशों पे दंगे बजाए चला डाले आले मोहम्मद के खैमे सकीना के मुंह पर तमाचे लगाए। जो बीमार था उसका बिस्तर न छोड़ा, नबी ज़ादियों पर भी दूरे चलाए। हुसैन अल गरीब अल गरीब अल हुसैन, हुसैन अल शहीद अल हुसैन। उठी अपनी मरकज़ से बिन्ते मोहम्मद, सियाह शब की चादर में चेहरा छुपा कर गई करबला में। तो उसने ये देखा बोसीदा कुर्ते में एक लाश बेसर, बदन सारा तीरों से छलनी पड़ा है। लहू में डूबा हुआ सारा बहकर, हुसैन अल गरीब अल गरीब अल हुसैन, हुसैन अल शहीद अल हुसैन। तड़प कर वो चिल्लाई शबीर बेटा, लहू में नहाए वो सर भी जुदा है। कबर किसने मारे है सारे बदन पर, ये तीरों पे किसने जनाजा रखा है। कहाँ है मेरा लाल अब्बास बोलो, मैं पूछूंगी उससे ये कैसे हुआ है। हुसैन अल गरीब गरीब अल हुसैन, हुसैन अल शहीद अल हुसैन। सदा सुन के ज़हरा की थर्राए गाजी, जुदा तन से सर था तो शाने कटे थे। गमो या सो हसरत में मजरूह मुसर, कहाँ के दरिया किनारे पड़े थे। सुए अलकमाप जो बीबी ने देखा, वो साहिल के झंडे पड़े थे। हुसैन अल गरीब गरीब अल हुसैन, हुसैन अल शहीद अल हुसैन। इधर दर्द गम की सताती ज़ैनब, जो वहशत के जंगल में हैदर बनी थी। कभी खाक उठाती कभी अश्क पीती, जो कुंबे के पहरे में तन्हा खड़ी थी। सकीना के सक्का को आवाज देकर, गमे शाहिदीन में बुका कर रही थी। हुसैन अल गरीब अल गरीब अल हुसैन, हुसैन अल शहीद अल हुसैन। कभी दिल में देती वो माँ को सदाए, कभी रो के कहती कि बाबा कहाँ हो। शहीदों का नोहा था उसके ज़बां पर, आबाद किस तरह उसके गम का बयां हो। हमें भी सआदत हो नुसरत की हासिल, खुदारा ज़हूर इमाम ज़मां हो। हुसैन अल हुसैन अल हुसैन अल हुसैन। सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद।
अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद।
हारे शाह करबला ज़ैनब, हारे शाह करबला ज़ैनब, दूसरी तू है फातिमा ज़ैनब, हारे शाह करबला ज़ैनब, तूने बादे हुसैन कूफे में सर किया ये मुकाबला ज़ैनब, हारे शाह करबला ज़ैनब, तूने चेहरा छिपा के बालों से हक का पर्दा बचा लिया ज़ैनब, हारे शाह करबला ज़ैनब, तुम ना होती जो शाह के दोष बदोश, तुम ना होती जो शाह के दोष बदोश, फतह होती ना करबला ज़ैनब, हारे शाह करबला ज़ैनब, भाई ने करबला फतह किया, भाई ने करबला फतह किया, तूने कूफा उलट दिया ज़ैनब, हारे शाह करबला ज़ैनब, दे चुके जब हुसैन कश्तिए दी, दे चुके जब हुसैन कश्तिए दी, तू बनी बढ़ के ना खुदा ज़ैनब, हारे शाह करबला ज़ैनब, अब कहाँ छुप सकेगा क़त्ल हुसैन, अब कहाँ छुप सकेगा क़त्ल हुसैन, तूने पर्दा उलट दिया ज़ैनब, हारे शाह करबला ज़ैनब, तेरी हिम्मत के तेरे कदमों पर, तेरी हिम्मत के तेरे कदमों पर, फक्र बातिल झुका दिया ज़ैनब, हारे शाह करबला ज़ैनब, तूने रस्सी में जकड़े हाथों से, तूने रस्सी में जकड़े हाथों से कसर शाही हिला दिया ज़ैनब, हारे शाह करबला ज़ैनब, भाई अब्बास सा जो बच जाता, भाई अब्बास सा जो बच जाता, कौन छूता तेरी रिदा ज़ैनब हारे शाह करबला ज़ैनब भाई अब्बास तेरा जाने वफा भाई अब्बास तेरा जाने वफा तू मसाइब की इंतहा ज़ैनब हारे शाह करबला ज़ैनब। ये शेर बहुत ही मुझे पसंद नहीं आता शेर जो है मुख्तसर शर्फ करबला ये है मुख्तसर शर्फ करबला ये है इब्तिदा भाई इंतहा ज़ैनब हारे शाह करबला ज़ैनब। सलवात मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद।
मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद सलवात। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद। Before inviting Maulana and the members, this is the last majlis of this series of the first Ashra. I would like to thank Maulana on behalf of this community, executive committee and the board of trustees for blessing this community with his presence and giving great lectures during 11 days. For Muhammad wa ala Muhammad sallallahu Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Maulana, मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु
फातिहा। أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يخفينا ماءه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتهدون الذي لا يدركه بغض الحمم ولا يناله غوث الفتن الذي ليس لصفته حد محدود ولا ناد موجود ولا وقت محدود ولا أجل ممدود فترى الخلائق بقدرته ونشر الرياح برحمته اللهم عفو سنة سلواتك وسلامة تسليماتك على أفضل التعينات المفاضة من العماء رباني وآخر التنزلات المضافة إلى نوع الإنسان كان الله ولم يكن معه شيء ثاني محصي لعوالم حضرات الخمس في وجوده وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام المبين الرسول النبي المكي المدني القرشي التحامي صاحب لواء الحمد مقام المحمود أبي القاسم محمد الحبيب وعلى أخيه وابن عمه وخليفته من بعده وقائد الغر المحجلين يا سوب الدين
إمام المتقين أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب وعلى ابنته الطاهرة الحوراء الإنسية الراضية المرضية الشفية يوم الجزاء فاطمة الزهراء سلام الله عليها وعلى سبتي الرحمة وسيدا شباب أهل الجنة الحسن والحسين اللهم صل على أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد وحسن بن علي وحجة القائم المنتظر المهدي وجدت على عبادك وأمنائك في بلادك اللهم سهل منحجهم وعجل في فرجهم وجعلنا من محبيهم ومواليهم وشيئتهم ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا استجيبوا لله ولرسوله إذا دعاكم لما يحييكم صدق الله العلي العظيم I begin in the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. My dear brothers and sisters, I thank you all for honoring me with this invitation, especially the managing committee. And definitely it is a great honor for all of us to commemorate the Adha of Sayyidul Shuhada, because the mourning of Imam Hussain is not only commemorated on earth, it is also commemorated in heavens. And there are more angels who are commemorating the Adha of Sayyidul Shuhada than there can be human beings. Because if Allah wants to keep the light of Allah intact, then there is nobody who can put it off. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, يُرِيدُونَ لِيُطْفِعُوا نُورَ اللَّهِ بِأَفْوَاهِهِمْ وَاللَّهُ مُتِمُّ نُورِهِ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْكَافِرُونَ. They desire to put out the light of Allah with their mouths, but Allah shall perfect His light, though the faithless, though the disbelievers should be averse to it. Meaning that Allah knows how to protect its light. Allah is not dependent on His creation to uphold the message. Allah Himself has taken that task upon Himself to uphold it. So therefore, however much in these 1400 years, as Quran is saying, they desire to put out the light of Allah with their mouth. You know, the fake news, the fake media, everything that you hear in today's time and age, it was all very well applied by Bani Umayyah 1400 years ago. They knew this trait very, very well. Only the means of delivery has changed. Human beings are same, their mindset is same. It is only how they deliver that message has changed. And Bani Umayyah did not leave any stone unturned to put off the light of Allah, and Allah made the light brighter and shinier as the years passed by. My dear brothers and sisters, we see Imam Hussain with a small number of followers resisting, while Yazid with his whole army, or I would not even say with his whole army, because it was only the Kufan army that came. Even the Sham army has not come. But Yazid continuously tried, and the following rulers of Bani Umayyah continuously tried to put off the light of Allah, to put off what was presented by Rasulullah, who were presented by Rasulullah as those who are the guides and who are the lights through whom you can be guided. Who is Allah? Allahu waliyul ladina amanu yukhrijuhum min az-zulumati ila an-nur. Allah is the wali, Allah is the guardian of believers. What does He do? He puts them, takes them out from darkness and takes them towards light. So whoever is wali, the task of that wali is to take believers out of darkness towards light. Now if you connect this with the words of Innama waliyukumullah wa rasuluhu, you will find that whoever Allah appoints to be the wali, he also has the task of taking people, believers, mu'mineen, out of darkness towards light, out of deviation towards guidance, from death towards life, towards living. And this is what Imam Hussein was calling upon on the day of Ashura. And he was calling, just as the Holy Quran, I have been reiterating all these nights with this verse, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu istajibu lillahi wa lirasuli idha da'akum lima yuhyikum, that respond to the call of Allah and His Prophet, because when they call you, they want to grant you life. By responding to their call, you are attaining life. And this is the life. The life is of Iman. The life is filled with that guidance that will take us towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we do not have that life, then our presence would not matter. Like I was mentioning, I can share some other verses of Holy Quran when a person is not guided, how Quran is showing a parable, how Quran is comparing. In Surah Hajj, verse 31, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ يُشْرِكْ بِاللَّهِ فَكَأَنَّمَا خَرَّ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ فَتَخْتَفُهُ الطَّيْرُ أَوْ تَحْوِي بِهِ الرِّيحُ فِي مَكَانٍ سَحِيقٍ. What is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying? Allah is saying that whoever ascribes a partner to Allah, whoever does shirk in Allah, it is as if he had fallen from the sky and the birds had snatched him, or the wind has thrown him far off the place. Meaning, if somebody falls from the sky and the birds are snatching him, or he's flown and blown towards with the wind, what will be the outcome of that? That person is dead. Meaning, a life which is filled with shirk is the life of a dead person. And Imam Hussein had brought back Tawheed. Imam Hussein had revived Tawheed. People who were having faith in a system which had become fabricated, with fabricated narrations and with paid out messengers and fake news, who were considering it is their duty to kill the grandson of the Holy Prophet so they can attain qurb of Allah, to attain proximity to Allah. This is how much the Sunnah had transformed and changed. And why will it not be? Why will it not be? You know, the father of Yazid, how did he injected hatred into the hearts of those who were accepting Islam during, this fake news that we talk about. One of the strategies that Bani Umayyah had to instill hatred of Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib was to, he used to send a small lamb into daycares, like babysitting places or small schools where very, very young children who are just about to learn, they're learning words, they're communicating. So if the children would see a small lamb, they would play. Whenever there's a break time, the children are going to keep playing, and they are all excited for the moment when they will have a break so that they could go off and play with that lamb. And after a while, that lamb would be taken away from those children. And when the children come and they do not find a lamb, they'll say, where is the lamb? Now the children will be told by the teacher in the school, who was paid by the state of Bani Umayyah, there is this thief who's very cruel, who's very, very wicked. He does not even care about you guys who are so small. What did he do? Where is our lamb? They will say, he took it and he killed it and he cut it into pieces. And the children are so disappointed. Who can be so rude to us? Who can be so mean to us? Who's that person? Then they will say, his name is Ali. So from childhood they are thinking if there is anybody whose name is Ali, that means that person is everything that they have described. See, this is the effort from Bani Umayyah trying to smear and even the name of Amir al-Mu'minin. And on the other side we find Imam Hussain giving every son name as Ali and every daughter name as Fatima. So there was this whole machinery which was working against, Amir al-Mu'minin. While I'm calling Amir al-Mu'minin, I'm seeing Amir al-Mu'minin being echoed in the media these days. Amir al-Mu'minin is the only title for Ali ibn Abi Talib. Nobody else. The Prophet had given this title to Amir al-Mu'minin only to Imam Ali alayhi salam. That's why you will not find even we are attributing this title to other A'immah. This is a stolen title taken away to validate the legitimacy of Khulafa in the past, and now again it is being used. But truly, you should know that there is only one Amir al-Mu'mineen, who is Imam al-Muttaqeen, Ali ibn Abi Talib. So my dear brothers and sisters, Imam Hussain was bringing back that life. Imam Hussain was bringing back that belief that you do not have to be paid by the state to survive. If you have dignity and honor, life without dignity and honor is not worth living. That's what Imam Hussain taught. Hayhat min az-zillah. The Ummah had completely fallen out of grace. They were living a life of humiliation. There was no dignity in becoming slaves and literally dogs of a state. From up to the whole chain, If you look at the history of Karbala, you will find Shuraih Khazi. Shuraih Khazi was the Khazi and the judge of Kufa. How he was willing to completely change what was happening inside. Hani Ibn Urwa was inside and he was being beaten, his nose was broken, he was being killed, and Shuraih Khazi would come out and calm down people saying, there's nothing happening, everything is fine, everything is calm. This is not happening today, even this is happening today. So the point is, this maktab, this institution of Husainiyat, this institution of Imam Hussain is what is protecting the pure Islam and the true Islam. But the Yazidi Islam still is about there. There is an Islam which still can go off and kill innocent people, can take innocent life, usurp land of others. But the Hussaini Islam is such that Hussain knew I will be killed here, and Hussain comes and first buys the land. He is not willing to be buried even on a land that is owned by somebody else. Even in today's time. And those who want to come. See, the other point I wanted to reiterate was Imam Hussain was truly giving life to the reforms that he wanted to do. And the reform of the Ummah can only happen if there is Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy anil Munkar. And that has been taken away from society. And even in today's time and age, you can see those, autocratic institutions, first thing that they will do is they will take away Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy anil Munkar. If you go to Yahudi Arabia, you will find that the cards that police have, that they actually have written, they are only there to scare you. They are only there to instill fear in your hearts. They are not, they are not rational, they are not logical, they don't even care that you are zawar of the house of Allah, you are the zawar of the house, of the shrine of Rasulullah. They don't care. So this fear, instilling this fear, this is on one side. The other side is, we see, all the civilized countries keep taking credit for doing all this good job and good work of democracy. Where is this democracy leading us? Today we see Afghanistan. What happened to all that democracy and everything that we wanted to go off and do it? See Afghanistan, see Iraq, see Libya. Tell me, where did the civilized societies went and really changed the life of people? They had made their life terrible, worse. And still, even educated Muslims, they look up to them. Look up to what? You only have a cover and a shield. It is like a wolf wearing a dress of a lamb and just getting into the herd. That's all it's happening. Otherwise, innocent people are being impacted and affected. Millions of people are being impacted. We are hearing about all this work, billions of dollars being spent to eradicate terrorism. Terrorism is being fomented, and through terrorists, innocent people are being killed in the name of freedom. So this is all, comes into that block of Yazidiyat. Imam Hussain was saying, no matter what, you are not going to oppress. It is better to be Mazloom, to be oppressed, but you are not going to oppress other people. Even Amirul Mu'mineen on the night of his Shahada, on the night of his martyrdom, people said, Ya Ali, we have information Ibn Muljim has arrived and his planning is to assassinate you. He has been hired to take you down, Ya Ali. Give us permission and we'll catch him. Preemptive strike. You see this idea of preemptive strike? Islam doesn't have idea of preemptive strike. He is Khalifatul Muslimin, but he says he has not committed the crime. If somebody doesn't commit the crime, you are not supposed to be holding him responsible. How much Amirul Mu'mineen valued justice even when his life was at stake. His life was at stake. And yet Amirul Mu'mineen was valuing justice. This is the Islam we wanted, my dear brothers and sisters. This is the Islam that would bring back humanity to life. If this Islam is not accepted, then that is not life. As Quran says in Surah Yasin, لِيُنْذِرَ مَنْ كَانَ حَيًّا وَيَحِقَّ الْقَوْلُ عَلَى الْكَافِرِينَ. That he, or Rasulullah, may give warning to whom? Man kana hayyan, who is alive. The Prophet can only warn who is alive, meaning what? Whose conscience is alive. If our conscience is not alive, no warning is going to affect us. And what is happening in society? Conscience, morality is being killed. Or morality has become a relative product when morality should be absolute. Meaning, it cannot be that if my friend does something wrong, I can justify it, and if my enemy does it, then I suddenly say, oh, that's wrong, it's immoral. If it is immoral for my friend, and it is immoral for my enemy. But the criteria of morality itself is being twisted. And Quran is reiterating those who are going to pay heed to the warning from the Prophet who are alive, meaning their conscience is alive. On the day of Ashura, those who came to fight Imam Hussain, calling themselves to be the Ummah of Rasulullah, had lost that conscience. Otherwise, how is it possible that, okay, if you say that in the battlefield it was Imam Hussain, it was the companions of Imam Hussain, it was, the brothers of Imam Hussain, the sons of Aqil, the sons of Ja'far, who were fighting. What about a 6-month-old baby? What did that child do? Where was the morality? Even they did not have the Arab masculinity that they used to have. The Arabs had this sense of mardanagi, as they call it, right? The sense of masculinity that Imam says. Oh, sons of, followers of Abu Sufyan, Ali Abu Sufyan. If you do not have deen, and if you do not believe in Ma'ad on the day of judgment, Imam is testifying that they did not have religion and they did not believe in afterlife. They are kuffar. Then act like free men. That is what Imam says. Act like free men. Like free Arab who did not, Arabs who did not even have religion. They had honor and dignity. They would live with that honor and dignity. They were not even living with that honor and dignity. The level of morality in the interest of, and how it all happened, I can tell you. I mean, all these years of rule from Sham had infiltrated in the ranks of Muslims, others from other faiths who were opportunists, who came as munafiqeen, and they found a market where they can sell themselves. Sham became the market where they could sell themselves. And when they can sell themselves, they used every tool in the book to get ahead and please the ruler and get the money and the wealth that they could, and did every evil thing that was possible, completely wiping out even that fundamental Arab, ethics that they had. That was the problem, my dear listeners. I do not want to sort of switch into another topic, otherwise I would have gone a little bit more in detail. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So if you are alive, Quran is saying, then you will pay attention to the warning of the Holy Prophet. And if you do not pay attention, it means you're dead. Whether you just call them kuffar, or even if they are not kuffar, if we are also not paying attention to word of warning from Allah and His messengers and our A'immah, it is as if we are dead. And Imam Hussain was awakening that conscience of his ummah and making sure that they live. It took a while for Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi to turn, and Imam Hussain worked every step of the way to awaken him, to awaken his conscience. 32 people in the 72 we talk about came from Kufa. They were from the army of Yazid, who came on the side of Imam Hussain. We only talk about Hazrat Hur. Imam Hussain had awakened the conscience of those people. Yes, they are few. But then you see Hazrat Nuh did tabligh for how many years? 900 years. How many people came into the ark of Nuh? Handful of people. And here Imam Hussain, in one afternoon, there are very short sermons of Imam Hussain on the day of Ashura, reiterating what he believed in. And they were also reiterating what they stood for. And even the companions of Imam Hussain are seen to reiterate that we are on Deen Ali. We are on Deen Ali. Deen Ali is the only deen that gets connected to Rasulullah. Deen Ali Abu Sufyan was not the deen that was connecting to Rasulullah. It was a deen that was fabricated in Sham with big fabricators of ahadith. That itself is a whole subject. If some of the very big ahadith narrators, earliest ones, some of them were Jews who were excommunicated from their faith, came into the fold of Islam, and they would start saying, oh, I read this in the books of Abraham and Moses. Nobody have access to that book. That the person who is going to ride a grey camel shall become Khalifatul Muslimin. And this is the father of Yazid going on the grey camel, she-camel. Oh, he said, this is the guy I need. He was hired. And then this guy became one of the biggest fabricators of ahadith. And then there was this whole confrontation of Bani Umayyah with Abdullah ibn Zubair. Zubair, after the martyrdom of Imam Hussain, took stronghold to be Mecca, and Bani Umayyah came and attacked Zubair to a point where they had burned down Kaaba, and the Kaaba came all the way to the ground. So from Sham they would fabricate ahadith and say it is more sawab to go to Baitul Maqdis or Baitul Muqaddas than to go to Hajj. Why? Because that was in their control, in the control of Bani Umayyah. And Mecca was in the control of Abdullah ibn Zubayr. So then there was this fabrication of ahadith. This is very common. This is the whole Muslim world accepts all this. How Bani Umayyah had used every rule in the book to make sure that they can legitimize their rule, and yet Imam Hussain prevailed, and yet Imam Hussain gave back life to Islam. And because it was Allah who wanted that the light cannot be put off by the enemies of Allah. Allah wanted to ensure that that light would be retained. Now, finally, I want to share some of the ahadith, some of the words of the Holy Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا يَسْتَوِي الْأَعْمَى وَالْبَصِيرُ. Not alike are the ones who are blind and those who are seeing. They are not alike. A person who is seeing and a person who is blind, they are not equal, right? And here, blindness is being compared to the blindness of faith, lacking iman, lacking insight to your religion. And then Allah says, وَلَا الظُّلُمَاتُ وَلَا النُّورُ. Nor alike the darkness and the light are equal. They are not equal. And then it goes further and says, وَمَا يَسْتَوِي الْأَحْيَاءُ وَلَا الْأَمْوَاتُ. Nor alike the living and the dead. They are not alike. Living and the dead are not alike. Quran is talking about living, those who have been guided, and dead, those who have rejected Islam. So Imam Hussain was bringing back those whose iman had completely been destroyed by all these distortions, and he was bringing life. He was bringing back that criteria with which anyone who is seeking guidance will never be misguided. If he comes to the door of Ahl al-Bayt, he will never be misguided. Even today's, after 1400 years, every move that was made by Amirul Mu'mineen and our A'immah, we can say with pride, you cannot even show a small, which you could say, oh, this was wrong, this move was wrong, that move was nothing. Whereas there, you see, Saqifa happened, and what was the criteria of selecting the first Khalifa? The same criteria was not followed when the second Khalifa was made. When the second Khalifa was gone, the third Khalifa was being, installed. The same criteria for the second Khalifa did not follow through on the third Khalifa. And they kept saying, this was all wrong, but somehow, Allah had protected us. How did Allah protect you? Wasn't this a cause of division in the Ummah? Why did you marginalize Bani Hashim? What was the reason for marginalizing Bani Hashim? It was open, it was openly said, we will not let Bani Hashim become Khulafa. It was very, very clear. Because if Bani Hashim would be made Khulafa, the most suited would be Amirul Mu'mineen. And even at the first instance, when the Ansar were claiming Khilafah and Muhajirin were saying, no, Khilafah belongs to us, they have stated an argument. You take the argument, what are the distinctions because of which Muhajirin should become Khalifa? If you take those distinctions, the highest in ranking that would come in those distinctions is none other than Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. That is why he was marginalized, my dear brothers and sisters. That is why the light of Allah there was an attempt to put off the light of Allah. But Allah perfects His light. In all those hardships also, Imam Hussain stood up and brought back that energy that Islam needed. And Imam Hussain vaccinated, I would say, now that we are in pandemic, every day now we are hearing about the booster shot also. So that was the booster shot that came to Islam. And now, after which the hujjah has been delivered, now it is only going to be justice that Allah is going to exercise through His last hujjah, Imam Mahdi Sahibul Asr wal Zaman. And I had more things to talk about, but I am trying to cut short so that we can finish this on time. But what I was, trying to reiterate is, it is the promise of Allah that those who are weak and oppressed in the land, Allah promises in the Holy Quran, He shall make them inheritors. If you look at the verse of the Holy Quran, وَعَدَ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنْكُمْ وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ لَيَسْتَخْلِفَنَّهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ كَمَا اسْتَخْلَفَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ وَلَيُمَكِّنَنَّ لَهُمْ دِينَهُمُ الَّذِي ارْتَضَىٰ لَهُمْ وَلِيُبَدِّلَنَّهُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِ خَوْفِهِمْ أَمْنًا. Allah has promised those of you who have faith and do righteous deeds that He will surely make them successors in this earth, just as He made those who were before them successors. And He will surely establish for them their religion which He has approved for them. So it's the promise of Allah that Allah shall prevail those who are weak. Now it is only the strength of Iman that is going to hold us on. So that's why we should never be shaken if we feel we are in small numbers now that we are so spread out. It is so amazing. This itself is such a miracle of Imam Hussein. Rather, I would say, my dear sisters, it is the dua of Hazrat Siddiqa Tahira that we are commemorating the azah of her son here, because it was her desire that who is going to commemorate the azah of my son. And by commemorating the azah of the Imam, we talk about justice, which talk about those principles for which the Prophet of Allah had lived all his life. And therefore it is very, very important that we just don't listen and walk away. We need to uphold this. Once we, even these days they are talking about vaccines, right? So the vaccination, the effect of vaccination, some of them is saying that it's for 3 months, the others are saying maybe a year. Now they are talking about a booster shot. So slowly the effect starts to decrease. So in these nights, Allah had a special, Allah gave us a special privilege through which we have been given this booster shot of Iman. Now if we hold on to it, we can hold on to it by applying everything that Imam had asked us to and not letting it slide through. If we do so, it would just become like how your battery, right? Everybody has a phone now, and if you don't recharge your battery, what happens? The phone is all fine, but if the battery is not charged, it is of no use. These institutions have been built so that you can recharge yourself. You can come together collectively, remember Allah and remember the path of Masumeen, do tawassul to Allah through Ahlul Bayt, so that we can keep that light of Allah in our hearts with the love of Imam Hussein. That is the reason, we are building all these institutions. These institutions are not there only to open up on, special nights and then just close and go. We should strive to even make this 24/7. That is how much we should be doing. One of the things that I was very, very adamant during the time of pandemic was to see how I can keep the center that I was open, because I felt that how the hospitals are absolutely necessary to treat people who are sick. People were emotionally, mentally, through anxiety of this pandemic, were becoming sick. And they need that spiritual boost. They need to come together in these places. And when they need to come together in these places, one of the problems all over the country that I have seen is, we say, in Farsi there's a saying, Kaase daftar az ash. देख से ज़्यादा चमचा गरम उर्दू में कहते हैं, meaning that the container is much hotter than the food inside of it. So people become overexcited, and I was telling, well, we will not break any rule. Let us go and see what CDC guidelines are. Just follow the CDC guidelines, because churches are opening up on the basis of CDC guidelines. We should also keep our centers open, because we are not asking everybody to come, but those who want to come, we will ensure their safety by making all those things available so that they can spiritually reinforce themselves. We need to do this, my dear brothers and sisters. Now, this pandemic was the first thing. I remember in 90s when I came in the city in Santa Cruz that I used to live in California, when I would drive, the city of Santa Cruz proudly used to have a board called Nuclear Free Zone. We used to take pride in talking about nuclear free energy that we are using. We don't want to use nuclear. Is that the case right now? Nuclear energy is like viral in the whole world right now. Russia has even made ships on which they have nuclear reactors. You want energy, they will bring their ship right next to the port, and they will start making energy right from there. And Chernobyl was one thing that happened, and they learned from it. Maybe they have mastered the technology. Today this pandemic is happening because somebody messed up. And we know that there is a biological warfare program that all these countries, so-called advanced countries, are making. And they are going to make some more screw-ups. This is not going to be the last pandemic that we are living in. This might become a way of life. Let us, reinvent ourselves so that we can support our community and ensure that we can keep them spiritually alive by ensuring we convey the message of Imam so that they can hold on and be steadfast on the path of Sirat al-Mustaqim and are able to conduct themselves with dignity and honor. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. My dear brothers and sisters, the price that the Imam had to pay, one could say that he had promised his grandfather that he would sacrifice his life. But what did Ahlul Bayt do to deserve this, my dear brothers and sisters? You tell me. The children of Hussein, why did they had to go through what they had gone through? Why did the Imam had to lose Ali Akbar? Why did the Imam had to lose Abbas? Why did the Imam had to lose Qasim? If we reflect so that Islam can come to us, what kind of Islam do we want to live, my dear brothers and sisters? An Islam for which Ali Akbar, Imam gave Ali Akbar. An Islam which Imam gave Abbas. An Islam for which Imam gave Ali Asghar. Not an Islam of our own hawa, not our Islam of our own desires. If you look, my dear brothers and sisters, if Bani Umayyah only had hatred and they only wanted power, they had prevailed on the day of Ashura. They should have not done anything beyond that. Everything that they have done was beyond decency of human beings. Forget about even Islam. The Prophet had never done what Bani Umayyah had reinvented. The Prophet had never raised heads of those who were lost as enemies in the battlefield on spears. Bani Umayyah did it on the day of Ashura. Who were they raising the head of? They were raising the head of the grandson of Rasulullah. They were raising the heads of Ahlul Bayt on spears and celebrating. But that celebration did not stop right there. They had the audacity to burn the tents of Ahlul Bayt. And the children are running from one place to the other place trying to save themselves. Then they looted the camps of Ahlul Bayt. They took even earrings from small children, and they were enjoying torturing children What kind of morality that they had, my dear brothers and sisters? They were not even happy on that. If that was sufficient, in the night, the wife of Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi got the permission to bring some food and some water. However, the children had lost appetite, nor were they willing to drink. Hazrat Zainab had to request every child and forcefully make them eat and drink, because they saw right in front of their eyes that everyone who loved and cared for them were gone and were killed right in front of their eyes. But the 11th of Muharram, my dear brothers and sisters, there was another doomsday, another Qiyamat on the day of 11th of Muharram. Now that the army of Yazid and Ibn Ziyad was preparing to prepare prisoners and take them from Karbala to Kufa and from Kufa to Sham. They have already severed the heads from the bodies of Shuhada, and they go off and start doing the counting. And they find that there is one head that is missing. And Umar ibn Sa'd says, I need to take all the heads. I want to make sure that I show the Amir what I have done to earn this mulk-e-rai that I want. And now they say, who knows that there is a head that is missing? Hussein had brought everyone's body to the Qiyam, and we have cut the heads of everyone that we have found. Abbas's body was in Maqtal itself. Then someone calls out and he says, oh, Hussein had a small child, and Hussein had buried that child behind the tents. And now there is another Qiyamah right in front of Ahl al-Bayt, that one Shaqi comes with a spear and he starts to poke into the ground to find the body of a child that Imam Hussein had buried. And Rabab is watching, the mother is watching, and yet this Mal'oon starts poking the ground, and in one of the hits that he does, when he takes it out, Ali Asghar's body comes and it gets exposed. And that is how Ali Asghar's head was separated from his body, right in front of his mother. Now Ahl al-Bayt are made prisoners. Their hijab had been taken away from them. And now there is another Qiyamah that is going to happen. We find that Umar Sa'd is saying, who are you? Who are those who want to volunteer? I want to make sure that I give the worst treatment possible in our tradition by trampling the body of all those who came against our Amir. And when they said, the body of Shuhada, they were all lying. The tribe of Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi came and he said, this is injustice for us. This is very dishonorable. We are not going to accept that you trample the body of Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi. Umar Sa'd says, okay, you can take the body of Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi. One after the other, everybody was taken away except for body of one Gharib. This was the grandson of Rasulullah, whose body was on the plains of Karbala, and 10 Malahin. Now they are trampling the body of Hussein. And while this is happening, Sayyid Sajjad is looking, and Hazrat Zainab realizes that it is almost looks like Sayyid Sajjad would die from the shock that he is seeing his father's body being trampled. And she comes close to Sayyid Sajjad. Oh Sayyid Sajjad, have patience, Sayyid Sajjad. You are our Imam, and you have to have this battle from Karbala to Kufa and Kufa to Sham. And Sayyid Sajjad says, oh my dear Aunt Zainab, how unlucky that son could be, whose father's body is being trampled right in front of his eyes, and he is not even being permitted to bury the dead of his loved ones, especially his father. سَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنْقَلَبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. We ask you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we do not have the ability or the capacity to comprehend the message of Sayyid al-Shuhada. O Allah, inspire us with your tawfiq such that we can comprehend and implement the message of Sayyid al-Shuhada in our lives. We ask you, Allah, to protect life, honor, property and dignity of believers wherever they are. We ask you, Allah, to cure those who are sick in our community. We ask you, Allah, to forgive those who have passed away from our community. We ask you, Allah, to hasten the reappearance of your Hujjah and make us such that your Hujjah will be pleased with us. Please recite the Surah Fatiha for all of your marhumeen and especially for the marhumeen of the sponsors of tonight's program. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Malik yawmiddin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
बाजार के मंजर को और अपने खुले सर को भूली नहीं मैं, बाजार के मंजर को और अपने खुले सर को भूली नहीं मैं, बाजार के मंजर को और अपने खुले सर को भूली नहीं मैं, अपने बंदे हाथों को बीमार के जेवर को भूली नहीं मैं, बाजार के मंजर को और अपने खुले सर को भूली नहीं मैं, उठती हुई आंधी को वहशत को बयां को, छुपते हुए सूरज को तारीकी को मैदान को, चलते हुए खंजर को मैं देखे तेरे सर को भूली नहीं मैं, बाजार के मंजर को और अपने खुले सर को भूली नहीं मैं, बाजार के मंजर को और अपने खुले सर को भूली नहीं मैं, एक चांद था बदली में छुपता था निकलता था, पर्दा दर खैमा का उठता कभी गिरता था, वो खैमाए लैला से रुखसत अकबर को भूली नहीं मैं, बाजार के मंजर को और अपने खुले सर को भूली नहीं मैं, याद आता है एक माँ का वो खाक में धस जाना और और आँख के शोलों में वो माँ का झुलस जाना, चलते हुए झूले से लिपटी हुई मादर को भूली नहीं मैं बाजार के मंदिर को, और अपने खुले सर को भूली नहीं मैं मासूम सकीना को, पढ़ते हुए नैज़ों को, खिंचते हुए गालों को, बेरहम तमाशों को, खिंचते हुए कानों को, खिंचते हुए गौहर को, भूली नहीं मैं बाजार के मंदिर को, और खुले सर को भूली नहीं मैं जिस रात में तन्हा थी, उस रात के ढलने को, टूटे हुए नशे को, उस रात के पहरे को, बच्चों के सिसकने को, और खाक के बिस्तर को, भूली नहीं मैं बाजार के मंदिर को, और अपने खुले सर को भूली नहीं मैं उन शाम की गलियों को, जिनसे खुले सर गुजरे, उस दर से गुजरने में 16 पहर गुजरे, दर पार के उस दर को, और शामियों के सर को भूली नहीं मैं बाजार के मंदिर को, और अपने खुले सर को भूली नहीं मैं। है आज भी वो गिरिया, है आज भी वो सारी, है आज भी पत्थर के सीने से लहू जारी, रोते हुए पत्थर को, पत्थर पे रखे सर को, भूली नहीं मैं बाजार के मंदिर को, और अपने खुले सर को भूली नहीं मैं बाजार के मंदिर को, और अपने खुले सर को भूली नहीं मैं। जाओ सही, 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 जाओ सही।
अली बेरी हाथ बने बड़े बाजारों में, आ गई अली बेरी हाथ बने बड़े बाजारों में, आ गई अली बेरी हाथ बने बड़े बाजारों में, आ गई अली बेरी हाथ बने बड़े
जिसने सूरज न कभी देखा था, रो रही है वो गुनाहगारों में। आ गई जिंदे अली तेरी दात बंधे करे बाजारों में। आ गई जिंदे अली तेरी दात बंधे करे बाजारों में। कौन जाने के है ये कौन रसन पे हुए, तेरी रोती है सजाद के पीछे चुप के। सिसकियाँ डूबी है जिस भीगी की, हाय जंजीरों के जंजारों में। आ गई जिंदे अली तेरी दात बंधे करे बाजारों में। आ गई जिंदे अली तेरी दात बंधे करे बाजारों में। कहाँ ज़ैनब और कहाँ शाम के लोगों का हुजूम, ऊंची आवाज में खुतबे पढ़ना, कत्ले मुरसल का हवाला देकर चादरे मांगना बदकारों में। आ गई जिंदे अली तेरी राहत बंधे करे बाजारों में। आ गई जिंदे अली तेरी राहत बंधे करे बाजारों में। आ गई जिंदे अली तेरी राहत बंधे करे बाजारों में। आग खैमों में लगी औरत सजाद बेहोश, रो रो पास को देती थी सदाएं ज़ैनब। लुट लो क्या मेरे सैदानियों की, शोर बरपा था सितमगारों में। आ गई जिंदे अली तेरी दात बंधे करे बाजारों में। आ गई जिंदे अली तेरी दात बंधे करे बाजारों में। हाय ज़हरा तेरी किस्मत ना मिला हक तुझको, ऐसी ताज़ीम तेरी है मुसलमानों ने। तेरा हक मांगने आई ज़ैनब, एक में नोश के दरबारों में। आ गई जिंदे अली तेरी दात बंधे करे बाजारों में। आ गई जिंदे अली तेरी दात बंधे करे बाजारों में। इस तरह बारी सकीना रही बाबा से बिगड़, सो नहीं चैन से तन्हाई में रोती रोती। खिचकियाँ दब गई मासूमों की, हाय जिंदानों की दीवारों में। आ गई जिंदे अली तेरी दात बंधे करे बाजारों में। आ गई जिंदे अली तेरी दात
Karbala, 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 Karbala. Hussein was slain, his family in pain. No soldier had remained. Women in chains, children in pain. Yes, he is to be blamed. Karbala, 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 Karbala. But this is not what remains from the land of Karbala. Karbala, 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 Karbala. The night in flames, the charging men, no child slept, the women all wept. The sounds of cries, the orphans' eyes, bloodshed from the ones who died. Karbala, 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 Karbala. Hussein rode with his blood on the sand of Karbala. La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. Karbala, 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 Karbala. This is all that remains from the land of Karbala. La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. Karbala, 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 Karbala. Ya Hussein, ज़ैनब का कैद होके जाती हूँ, नौहदाई ज़ैनब का कैद होके जाती हूँ। टूट गई मेरी दुनिया, कैद होके जाती हूँ। नौहदाई ज़ैनब का कैद होके जाती हूँ। चल बसा मेरा भाई, मैं हूँ और है तन्हाई। चल बसा मेरा भाई, मैं हूँ और तन्हाई। कोई भी नहीं अपना, कैद होके जाती हूँ। नौहदाई ज़ैनब का कैद होके जाती हूँ। इब्न साथी कौशल दोनों हाथ कटवा कर, इब्न साथी कौशल दोनों हाथ कटवा कर, हो गए लबे दरिया, कैद होके जाती हूँ। नौहदाई ज़ैनब का कैद होके जाती हूँ। मुझको नाज़ था जिस पर हम शबीह पैगंबर उसको नाज था जिस पर, हम शबीह पैगंबर वो भी अब नहीं जिंदा, कैद होके जाती हूँ मोहताज ज़ैनब का, कैद होके जाती हूँ। ओनो जाफरो आपास कर गए मुझे बेआस, ओनो जाफरो आपास कर गए मुझे बेआस, इससे अब करूं शिकवा, कैद होके जाती हूँ मोहताज ज़ैनब का, कैद होके जाती हूँ। जलती रेत पर असगर नींद आ गई क्यों पर, जलती रेत पर असगर नींद आ गई क्यों पर, तप रहा है बन सारा, कैद होके जाती हूँ मोहताज ज़ैनब का, कैद होके जाती हूँ। जब से जल गए खेमे सहमे सहमे हैं बच्चे, जब से जल गए सहमे सहमे हैं बच्चे, जुल्म करते हैं आगा, कैद होके जाती हूँ मोहताज ज़ैनब का, कैद होके जाती हूँ। बच न लग सकीना से दुख नहीं सहे जाते, बच न लग सकीना से दुख नहीं सहे जाते, किसको दूं सदा भैया, कैद होके जाती हूँ मोहताज ज़ैनब का, कैद होके जाती हूँ। सबके तुम पे मार जाए मेरे बेकफन भाई, तुम पे मार जाए मेरे बेकफन भाई, कैसे चैन आएगा, कैद होके जाती हूँ मोहताज ज़ैनब का, कैद होके जाती हूँ। इल्तिजा मेरी सुन लो शह के साथियों उठो, इल्तिजा मेरी सुन लो शह के साथियों उठो, जो सलाम ज़ैनब का, कैद होके जाती हूँ मोहताज ज़ैनब का, कैद होके जाती हूँ। रन में बिन्ते ज़हरा की ये सदा मुनव्वर थी, रन में बिन्ते ज़हरा की ये सदा मुनव्वर थी, हम लिए 72 का, कैद होके जाती हूँ मोहताज ज़ैनब का, कैद होके जाती हूँ।
السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا حبيب الله، السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين، السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين، خصوصا سيدي ومولاي أبا الفضل العباس يا ابن أمير المؤمنين، وقاسم بن حسن ومسلم بن عقيل وحاني بن عروة وحبيب بن مظاهر وحر شهيد الرياح. السلام عليكم جميعا رحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء، السلام عليك يا معين الضعفاء والفقراء، السلام عليك يا سلطان يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن موسى أيها الرضا، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان، الأمان الأمان الأمان، خليفة الرحمن إمام بنت بزجان شريك القرآن.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Please recite Amma Yajib 5 times for the safety of Tamam Shiane, Haidar Qatar, all over the world, and the people who are sick, especially Aga Jalali, the wife of Brother Musa, the mother of Brother Shahid Kazmi, and my mother, and Digar Mu'min Mu'minat who are sick for their full recovery. Please recite. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Amma yujibul mustarra iza da'u wa yakshifu as-su'. 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 Allahumma salli ala وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات ومن مات على الهدى والإيمان، بالخصوص إلى أرواح أموات جماعتنا الحاضرين، and بالخصوص for the brother of مولانا بيك، نهدي للجميع ثواب سورة المباركة الفاتحة تسبقها الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
नारे तकबीर, नारे रिसालत,
या रसूल अल्लाह,
नारे हैदरी,
लब्बैक या हुसैन,
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 लब्बैक या महदी,
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 लब्बैक या महदी।
मैं ज़हूर इमाम ज़मान पर खुलूस सलावत।
अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद।